January 17, 1943. Guadalcanal. The jungle breathes. In the humid darkness of the Solomon Islands, Japanese sentries crouch behind earthen fortifications, rifles slick with condensation. The night air hangs thick, a wall of insects, rotting vegetation, and the distant pulse of the sea. Above them, no moon. Only the canopy, black and impenetrable. They have learned to trust this darkness. For months it has been their ally, their shield. Night belongs to the Emperor's forces. Night is when they move, when they strike, when the Americans, blinded and fumbling, cannot follow. But tonight, something is different. At 0214 hours, the sky tears open, not with lightning, but with engines. The roar is sudden, impossibly precise. Explosions bloom across Supply Ridge before the sentries even hear the aircraft. Palm trees shatter into splinters. Ammunition caches detonate in chains of white fire. The Japanese soldiers scramble from their dugouts, eyes searching the void above, but there is nothing to see, only sound. Only death raining down with surgical accuracy on positions they believed invisible. The Americans have arrived in the dark, and they can see. For 2 years, the Imperial Japanese Army had waged war with a doctrine rooted in night superiority. From Malaya to the Philippines, from Burma to the Dutch East Indies, Japanese forces executed nocturnal infiltrations and surprise attacks with devastating effect. British, Dutch, and early American defenders, reliant on visual contact and flare illumination, found themselves outmaneuvered after sunset. The Japanese soldier was trained for this: silent movement through jungle terrain, coordinated assaults under cover of total darkness, the psychological advantage of invisibility. By late 1942, night operations had become not merely tactical preference, but ideological certainty. The darkness, they believed, favored the disciplined, the patient, the spiritually superior warrior. Then came radar. The Americans arrived in the Pacific Theater carrying something the Japanese High Command had not anticipated: airborne intercept radar sets mounted in P-70 Nighthawks and specially modified B-24 Liberator bombers. These systems, crude by later standards, prone to mechanical failure, requiring skilled operators hunched over glowing cathode screens, could detect aircraft and ground formations through cloud, rain, and the absolute black of a moonless tropical night. What Japanese doctrine considered an impenetrable veil became for American aircrew a transparent map painted in phosphorescent green. The shock was total. Japanese soldiers on Guadalcanal, New Georgia, and Bougainville had expected to own the night. They had prepared for American firepower during daylight: the endless naval bombardments, the waves of dauntless dive bombers, the mechanical brutality of American industry. But night was supposed to be the equalizer. In darkness, numbers mattered less, technology mattered less. The spirit of Bushido would prevail. Instead, they discovered that American bombers could find a single supply dump in 30 square miles of jungle, that fighters could intercept their transport aircraft over open ocean without ever seeing them with the naked eye, that the night sky had become an American hunting ground. War diaries recovered after the Solomons campaign reveal the psychological toll. A Japanese officer stationed at Munda Point wrote in February 1943, "The enemy bombers come without warning. We hear no reconnaissance aircraft, we see no flares, yet they strike our positions as if guided by demons. The men no longer sleep, they no longer trust the jungle." Another account from a naval aviator described American night fighters appearing as if summoned by sorcery to intercept bomber formations over the slot, shooting down aircraft in total darkness at ranges previously thought impossible.
But the technology did not pause for adaptation. By mid-1943, American forces introduced centimetric radar systems with even greater resolution. SCR-720 sets allowed P-61 Black Widow night fighters to detect individual aircraft at 10 miles, track them through evasive maneuvers, and close for kills without the enemy pilot ever knowing he was being hunted. Ground-based radar directed artillery fire onto Japanese positions with coordinates so precise that soldiers believed they were being watched by spies within their own ranks. Throughout this evolution, one object became the unintended symbol of the gap widening between the two forces: the radio receiver. Japanese troops, operating with limited communication equipment and strict radio silence protocols, increasingly found themselves isolated in a war where information moved at the speed of electromagnetic waves. American forces, meanwhile, coordinated air-ground operations via networked radar stations, shipboard controllers, and airborne radar operators, a web of electronic perception that turned the Pacific battlefield into a surveilled space. The radio became a totem of connectivity, of technological omniscience, of an enemy that could see without eyes and strike without warning. The ideological wound ran deeper than tactical defeat. Japanese military culture had venerated the warrior's intuition, the honed senses of the experienced soldier, the spiritual preparation that sharpened awareness beyond the physical. Radar rendered these virtues obsolete. It was not merely a weapon, it was a declaration that the future of warfare belonged to engineers, to machines, to a materialistic philosophy that the Imperial Army had been taught to despise. Years later, after the surrender, a surviving officer from the Solomons campaign would be interviewed by American historians. Asked what single factor most demoralized Japanese forces in the Pacific, he did not mention the atomic bombs or the firebombing of Tokyo. He spoke of the nights. Of the endless nights when the jungle, their ancestral terrain, their tactical sanctuary, became a killing floor illuminated only on American radar screens. We could no longer trust our own darkness, he said. In that admission lies a truth larger than tactics, larger than technology. War is not won solely by superior firepower or numbers, but by the ability to extend human perception into realms the enemy believes inaccessible. Radar did not merely give Americans night vision, it gave them dominion over the psychology of safety, the illusion of sanctuary. It proved that abundance, properly weaponized, transforms not just the battlefield, but the mind of the adversary. The jungle still breathes, but the darkness belongs to those who can see through it.